First of all, I'd like to introduce Mayor Flansharp from Jacksonville Beach.
10:30 this morning, I was in the airport in Seattle, rushing to get on a plane. I've been rushing to get on a plane ever since, and I actually made it, so I'm very lucky to be here. I can remember way back when there was a whole bunch of people on the side of Beach Boulevard standing in the rain, waving signs. And that's sort of where this all started out. And I was pretty used to it, but a lot of the folks had never done anything like that before, and kind of began to feel like lepers in the community because they were actually doing something that people didn't approve of, but that they knew that was right. And today, as Sandy said to me, or somebody said to me a few minutes ago, I said, "Look at this! There are actually politicians in this room." But we're real proud of Beaches Watch, and what Beaches Watch has become, because we have had other groups here in Jacksonville Beach and at the beaches in years gone by that have organized to oppose or support specific goals, and that had the goal of basically becoming something more than just a one-issue organization. And Beaches Watch has actually become that. It's for all three beaches. It's for a multitude of different interests and issues, and it's a real conduit for information for people who are looking for information on development or hurricane preparedness or Lord knows what else they've gotten themselves into now. Every day, 2 days a week, I pick up the newspaper and go, "What's Beaches Watch doing now?" But at any rate, I just want to, come and congratulate everybody who's taken Beaches Watch from, the soggy side of the road there and turned it into what it is today. We're very proud of this award they've given. Where'd Art Graham go? We'll bring Art Graham up here, and he's going to introduce everybody because Art knows everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Come on. Actually, there's two things I want to do before I got started. The first one, and I always try doing this when I get up before a public group, is to take a moment of pause for our men and women overseas. And they're over there giving us all this, and they're over there fighting, mainly just because someone asked them to go over there and fight. So if we would just pause for a second, I appreciate it. Thank you. Second thing, how many people here came over here in a car? Put your hands up if you came in a car. Do me a favor, take that hand, put it in your pocket, your purse, turn your cell phone off. Put it on vibrate, do whatever it is you need to do. I know most people just forget, so I'm just trying to help you remember. I know some of you may be doctors, put it on vibrate if you're waiting for that, special call. I do appreciate that. First of all, I guess it's my job first to introduce the elected officials in the audience, and I guess we'll start with the top office, which would be Jackie Smith, who's in Andrew Crenshaw's office. I'm going to get you to stand for just a second. Second, we actually have live in person Senator Jim King in the we'll start again with Atlantic Beach. We have back in the back Sylvia Simmons. And I think that's it in Atlantic Beach, unless somebody else slid in. I think that's it for Atlantic Beach. In Jacksonville Beach, we've already met the Mayor Flansharp. We also have Rick Knight, who is right here. And Lee Buck. What happened to Lee, right? And in Neptune Beach, we have Fred Lee hiding somewhere. Fred Lee. Harriet Pruitt. And John Weldon. Now, did I miss anybody? And we also, an appointed official, we have our fire chief, Gary Frazier. Before I introduce Charles Patterson, who's going to actually give the award, I want to speak a little bit about Beaches Watch. Most people, most elected officials, sometimes get very leery of, as they're referred to as activist groups, because you never quite know which way they're going to swing or how difficult it's going to be. And when Sandy came to me early on, and she was talking about getting a group formed, and I was actually trying to recruit her to run for office at the time. And she said, no, I think I can get a lot more done, you know, not being an elected official and getting a group started. So I spent a great deal of time talking to her because I want to make sure if she did it right. There was another group that's on the other side of my district called the Baywatch Group that, in my opinion, got it formed together and they did it right. You know, the key to this thing is being a community. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Turn on the bottom.
The key thing is doing it, and don't just be against everything. And a lot of times you get these groups out there and all they want to do is fight everything. They want to fight progress, they want to fight anything, and you just get labeled as being up there just to fight, to kill it, and you get to the point where people stop listening to you, the elected officials stop listening to you, and then that's where that whole thing, you get labeled as the activist. And usually, especially in my world, when you're labeled an activist, people just tend to walk the other way. They see you coming down the hall and they kind of divert. So when they got started doing this, it wasn't just a one-issue thing. And it was one of those things where you state, you know, you had to make sure you got buy-in from everyone. I said, if your group can't decide, if you're not solidified in your group on this decision, it's probably something you shouldn't chase after. And so that's one of the key things. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, your voice carries nicely, but there's a lot of noise going on back here, and so it might be good to use the microphone again. Yeah.
I can do.
He's got to turn it back on.
I can do that. I can do that. Anyway, thank you. I didn't want to belabor too long on the whole issue, but the issue was just making sure that you weren't you weren't just against everything. They did a very good job dealing with the height issue here in Jacksonville Beach, and they decided they weren't going to disband at the time. They want to grow and be more than that. I don't know if you're familiar, but they do the hurricane preparedness every year, which is something that we desperately need to have. To me, they work great because whenever I have an idea, I always bounce it off of them. I do the same thing for the Baywatch people in the Southside area. Whenever there's an issue, they'll come to me, and a lot of times, and they'll tell you, like with the waste transfer station that came up, I wasn't on board. There was a lot of debate going back and forth. They had to convince me that was the path that we had to go. And a lot of times they get in there and they're always very passionate. Everybody's passionate when they got an issue, but you got to bring them all down, lay all the facts on the table. Sometimes you talk them out of it, sometimes they talk you into following them. But I think these groups are great just as long as it's level-headed and you have somebody at the top that has good control over it and keeps it on the straight path. And I think that's one of the great things about Beaches Watch, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're here today. But I'm told my job is to introduce Charles Patterson. Charles has served as Executive Director for Thousand Friends of Florida for the past 8 years. Before that, he was Director for Resource Planning and Management Division of Department of Community Affairs, the DCA, for about 6 years. Charles he's actually got a pretty intense resume, so I'm not going to read everything on his resume, but it pretty much covers planning, building, and zoning from as far north as North Carolina and about as far south as Key West, focusing primarily on coastal areas kind of like this one here. Charles received his undergrad from NC State, an ACC school. Good job. He got his master's in regional planning from University of North Carolina, another ACC school. He's a member of American Institute of Certified Planners, and in 2005, he was appointed by the State Senate, thank you, Jim King, for a 4-year term on the Century Commission for Sustainable Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charles Patterson.
Thank you, Councilman. It's really a pleasure to be here. My name again is Charles Patterson. I'm the Executive Director of 1000 Friends of Florida. We're a statewide nonprofit growth management advocacy group. our organization was formed in 1986, so we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. And our founders still, and our current board, maintain the idea that Florida is going to grow. We can grow and have a sound economy and protect our environment if we do smart things with growth management. And that's what we stand for. One of the nicest things I get to do is to come around the state from time to time and recognize people, groups, local governments that are doing a good job managing their growth. Since 1990, we've been making awards throughout Florida. And the award recipients have to show some sort of innovative technique or approach for managing growth in their community that other areas in Florida can look at and learn from. So we're very pleased this year to have Beaches Watch receive one of our Community Steward Awards. Let me read you what that entails from our organization. These awards are presented to individuals, organizations, local governments, agencies, public and private partnerships that have brought about positive change in the way their communities manage growth. And we certainly think Beaches Watch is a fine example of that. We've got about 4,000 members statewide, and I think that shows that small groups can make a difference, just like yours, and we're very proud to be here to be able to do this. The actual awards themselves are original watercolors that we commissioned with an artist in Tallahassee. Our annual report is on the back table if you care to look at it, and on the back page is the biography of Dawn McMillan, the lady that's been doing these watercolors for the last several years. At this point, I'd like to ask Sandy Golding, Susie White, Jim Overby, Daryl Shields, Wendell Finner to come forward. We are going to do Jackie. She's on the list. We'll get to you. If you'd come forward at this time. Yeah. Beaches Watch is receiving this award tonight because of their tenacity and perseverance in promoting a smart growth solution for some of the issues that faced all the coastal cities in Northeast Florida. As many of you know, they began in January of 2004 and ended up with sponsoring a ballot initiative that resulted in a 35-foot height limit that passed by 76% vote. That's extremely impressive wherever that happens. And you didn't stop there. With development proposals in Atlantic Beach, you helped coordinate citizens there and actually helped the city there work on land development regulations to help protect its community character. You've worked with local governments and citizens in the area so that your special quality of life is not sacrificed as you grow and develop like all of Florida. You've become a force to be reckoned with, and I think a model for everyone to see around the state. And I think, again, that shows to us and all of Florida how citizens can come together working with local government as an advocate to get change that's very positive. Congressman Crenshaw couldn't be here tonight, but Jackie Smith is here, and I think she's going to have some comments for the Congressman.
I also want to congratulate the people and the elected officials in Jacksonville Beach who listen to a citizen group. We seem to be having that going on a this letter, Ander addressed this letter to Sandra because he knew she was your president. I'm sorry that my duties keep me from attending the special award presentation this evening, but I wanted to extend my congratulations on your recognition by 1,000 Friends of Florida in receiving a 2006 Community Steward Award. I was pleased to learn about the work of your group, is this gone, in promoting growth management in Jacksonville Beach. When I read about your group's movement to sponsor and then successfully pass a height amendment, I knew you would be a worthy recipient of this award. Beaches Watch sets a wonderful example for the rest of us in how a citizen-led group can, through the ballot box, affect change in a community. This award is a tribute to you and the beaches and the others in Beaches Watch, maybe if I stand back, and to the strength of your powerful message in promoting the quality of life of the residents of Jacksonville Beach. I know I join your other admirers in congratulating you on a job well done. The Better Community Award is a commendable recognition for the group's contributions to Jacksonville Beach. However, I believe, as I know you do, that the finer reward is to know that through the actions of Beaches Watch, you all have shown others how to organize and the importance of getting involved in issues that will affect you and your neighbors. Sincerely, Andrew Crenshaw.
Thank you, Jackie. We really appreciate your being here this evening. I was going to ask Councilman Graham if you'd come forward and we'll make the presentation to the board. Can we all kind of get around? We got enough room? I'm going to be in your way, I'm afraid. On behalf of the Board of Directors and our staff and members of Thousand Friends of Florida, we're very pleased to present you with this award. It's a small recognition of the fine work that you've done, and we're very pleased to honor you and wish you the best in the future. And we'll be back to see your 20th anniversary.
Thank you, Charles. On behalf of the members and supporters of Beaches Watch, it's a great honor to accept this Community Steward Award from Thousand Friends of Florida. I have to say, in the last year, Charles and his staff with Thousand Friends of Florida have been a valuable resource to our group, and I know they have been to other groups like ours throughout the state of Florida. For 20 years now, Thousand Friends of Florida has been dedicated to protecting the quality of life we enjoy in Florida. They value natural areas, livable communities, smarter growth, and affordable housing. And they're advocates for legislation to ensure all these things will be long-lasting components of Florida communities. We're thankful for their tireless efforts and to educate and advocate on behalf of Florida residents. Their activities and accomplishments are an example of stewardship at its best. And this makes us extremely honored that they consider us community stewards. Over 2 years ago, Beaches Watch was formed by concerned citizens who, out of concern that our small beach town way of life was being lost to oversized development. All of us who live here at the beaches know that we have something very special here, and it's worth protecting. The waterway that separates us from the city of Jacksonville has protected us from sprawl development patterns and has helped us keep that sense of small town living that's vanishing too quickly all over the state of Florida. We know that stopping our towns from growing is not reasonable. Growth will happen. But we can save our special places by encouraging residents to get involved and work with our local governments to ensure that growth is managed and new development better fits our way of life and our desired community character. Since the formation of Beaches Watch, we have worked to seek positive improvements in our beaches communities, to promote smart growth management practices, and to speak out about issues that would diminish our quality of life. Through monitoring local issues, educating citizens on these issues, and encouraging citizen participation in our government process, Beaches Watch is helping residents maintain the quality of life for themselves and for future generations. We're proud that our efforts have shown that citizens can make a difference with informed, positive involvement in local issues. We've been gratified over and over to see that our members of our community will make a stand for our way of life. And we've been gratified to see that our elected officials are listening and working to protect our quality of life. As a proud member of Beaches Watch, I feel this award is not only recognizing the accomplishments of Beaches Watch, but it's recognizing the accomplishments of our beaches citizens and our elected officials working together to make a difference. Without the many individuals who care so much for our special beach communities and who've given so generously of their time and energy, we wouldn't have accomplished the things that we have in such a short time. I wish I could name everyone who's made a difference at the beaches, but we'd certainly be here all night. However, several people here tonight do deserve particular thanks. First and foremost, I want to recognize and thank all the Beaches Watch members and supporters who have gotten involved and worked so hard for the betterment of our communities. Thousands of people signed petitions and cast ballots. Hundreds attended meetings. Dozens took to the streets to bring awareness of growth issues to their neighbors, and many continue to stay involved in our local issues. Special thanks also goes to Councilman Art Graham, who counseled us when we were first forming, and who continues to give us his valuable input and support. We also want to thank our beaches elected officials for caring, listening, and working hard to protect what's special in our communities. And special thanks goes to Deborah Andrews, our hardworking attorney, and to the board members of Beaches Watch for their leadership and dedication. On behalf of Beaches Watch, it's a privilege and an honor to thank Thousand Friends of Florida for this recognition. I also want to personally thank everyone here for sharing in this celebration. Please keep caring about our beach communities and staying involved, because working together, we are making a difference. Thank you.
Let me just end by thanking you all again for being involved. This is the kind of involvement that we need as a state everywhere. You know, we're the fourth biggest state in the nation now, and we'll be the third biggest in less than 10 years of the numbers I see. We'll pass New York, and the numbers suggest we'll keep on growing. I think this is you're the kind of example that we hope to see used throughout Florida, because it's going to take all of us to accommodate the growth that we're going to see and protect our quality of life. Thank you very much for being here.